Jon Stewart has a show on Apple. It's called The Problem with Jon Stewart. And a lot of people love Jon Stewart. They just love, mwah. Especially progressives. I got some progressives that love this guy, man. He can do no wrong. He's amazing. What I like about Jon Stewart is that he's relaxed. That's all. I just like a relaxed person. I like a person, I don't feel like he's putting on airs. Not trying to sound a certain kind of way. I like that. I like that type of delivery. I like people that are laid back. And he just never seemed like an establishment hack. But here's the thing. If you're going to talk about race with Cory Booker, you got to keep his ass grounded. Because he's the most flighty, most abstract, soaring rhetoric that has not rooted in real life shit for real people. And you got to know that about the guy. So my problem with Jon Stewart in this video is Jon Stewart.
Two things. So I'd love to hear your position as an observer of the human condition and then as a practitioner of the Senate, because those are two very separate things.
Right. And so look, yes. So I really want to get into the practical, but I want to start with the heart.
Please.
Because this idea that the bigotry that is evident in this country is somehow an American problem. No, bigotry is a human problem. And I can show you all around this country, all around this world, where you see those worst of human nature. What has been the investment of Americans, in particular Black Americans, if you read, Frederick Douglass's work, his hope for America as he encouraged Blacks to fight in the Civil War, as Blacks took up arms in every war to fight for this country, from Crispus Attucks, the first person to die, arguably in America, to men and women who are fighting now, is fighting for an idea and an ideal that this could be a nation that represents the best of humanity. The story of America, to me, is a story of people trying to make this a more perfect union where we are a multicultural democracy based around principles and ideals and not race, not ethnicity, but the best of our spirit. And
so why would that be hard? I mean, it sounds like such a basic premise.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about this. People don't understand how fragile democratic ideals are.
Right.
They really are, far more than people think.
All right, I mean this, guys. What the hell was Cory talking about?
So I really want to get into the practical, but I want to start with the heart.
First of all, America was founded on the belief that we are all created equal and that we can all play basketball. Now, America was founded on racism, plundering and taking of people's land, genociding the Native Americans, enslaving the Blacks. That's what America was founded on. Where's this? We were not in the equation. It's anything other than property. 3/5 of a human being. And it hasn't just been moving towards bettering or being a more perfect union. It's been keeping rich landowners, white men, wealthy and keeping the rest of us poor, Johnson. That's what it's been. If you're in a part of that rich white landowner man class, then you were screwed. That's the problem with America. What he's talking about is just nonsense. Come on, Jon Stewart. You know he's full of shit. You know it's flighty nonsense. If he was a white guy saying that, you would cut him off. Why is this white guy here in the clouds? Come down to earth where, down to earth, to the pavement where they sat on George Floyd's neck for 10 minutes. Come on down. Come on down to earth. To the bullets that bounce off the ground when they shot up Breonna Taylor's home. Stop this soaring nonsense. I can't stand that, and I don't know why Jon Stewart's allowing it. But one thing I like about this is I know now, if you watch this clip, I don't have to listen to you kiss Jon Stewart's ass anymore. He is fallible. Oh, Jon Stewart's the king of progressives, and shut up. Because I don't think he's the god of progressives. I think he's a guy with a show that I like is laid back in the talks. But this is a prime example, still too willing to cave in to the black guy talking nonsense in the air about whatever. I get it. I understand it, man. I understand the economics behind it. I tell you all the time, if you want to be famous, get you a black audience. But if you want to be rich, get you a white audience. That's the rule, Johnson. I didn't invent that rule. I just learned about it this year. But if you're going to say you're going to stand up for black people, and if you're going to be there talking about black issues, if you're going to talk about the 1619 Project, if you're going to talk about the 13th Amendment and how slavery still exists in this country, if these are going to be things that Cory is going to hang his hat on, at least make the guy stand up for black people and not still defend white people's feelings, like in this next clip.
Mentally ill, but by the way, disproportionately black and brown people.
Right.
And how do we not understand that that's not black people's problems for being over incarcerated? This is a cancer to the whole body of our country.
But they don't. And
well,
so what they'll say is, so there's always, I call them the butt people.
Right.
So black people are incarcerated at a level disproportionate to not only their role in the population, but to the crimes that they commit. They get stiffer sentences. They get arrested more for the same crimes that white people get off on. And if you say that, people will go, no, that's true. But
right. So I have problems with language like they because
it's too generalized. It's reductive.
To sweep everybody
I get that.
I try to tell my staff, don't write me a speech where I say the Republicans.
Right.
Because that's whipping up 60 million Americans, 70 million Americans. Right. So let's just be specific. Undeniably, blacks and whites do not use marijuana at different rates. And in fact, young white men have a slightly higher rate of dealing pot. But blacks are about 4 times more likely to be arrested of it. And if you don't think this is a big problem, in 2019, the last year I have data for, there were more marijuana-related arrests than all the violent crime arrests combined.
Right.
And disproportionately people of color. I went on college campuses where you smell pot in a lot of places, and nobody's raiding those places.
Didn't they know a senator was coming by? Doesn't anybody tell them that you're in the building? Or are they all just like, it's okay. It'll be fine.
He's got a big marijuana
it's Senator Booker. It'll be fine. He's got
a big marijuana. He's with us.
It doesn't matter.
So look, what does that mean?
Right.
If I got arrested for possession of marijuana, I could get a lawyer. I live in a community, low-income, majority black and brown community, that one arrest devastates the whole family. You don't even have to serve, you don't even have to get convicted. You're away from your job, you're losing your job, you're not making rent. It tumbles people out. And so for that to be heaped upon disproportionately, it's wrong for any young kid, poor black, poor white, anybody. But to not recognize the factual reality that this is an unjust system that is implicating all of us and having a direct effect on all of us, because a person who has one marijuana conviction for doing things 2 of the last 4 presidents admitted to doing, now has what the American Bar Association says
in the system.
What's that?
They're in the system.
More than that, you're now out. 40,000, according to the American Bar Association, what they call collateral consequences. Can't get a job, can't get a loan from a bank. The marijuana war alone, the prohibition, what has done to the economic potential of disproportionately the black community, but our economy isn't separated. It has hurt the economic growth of our country. It's a self-inflicted wound. And the lack of empathy there is hurting those folks who are facing direct oppression, but it's also affecting your well-being as well. And that's the rub.
So how do you make that argument? Because it makes a good point. So you kind of have 2 things going here, which is one is a moral argument, one is a practical argument.
Once again, Jon Stewart had to know that Cory Booker's not saying anything. He's filibustering in an interview with an old friend. Opportunity, Jon Stewart's got a huge audience. And who does he bring on? He brings on Cory Booker to word salad you to death with facts, with numbers, good numbers. Hey, look, that's a new number. I'm going to use this. There were more people locked up for simple marijuana possession last year, or in 2019, than for all violent crime combined. Just for having weed. That's a great thing to point out. I love that statistic. I'm going to use that. But unlike Cory, I'm going to say our system is racist as hell, because you know where they went to get those people with that weed? Black communities. And those black communities now have people that can't get jobs. And don't tell me it's not about race, because they are in black communities. They don't go to white, there are poor white communities. Let's be clear, guys. There are people that love to say, class and race, and I get it. Cops are hesitant to kick rich black people's asses because they get sued. So I get that point, but let's be real, Johnson. There are a lot more poor white areas. There are a lot of poor white towns where cops could be going right now to lock up poor white kids for marijuana, and they aren't. They'll go to the poor black side of town and do that shit. And I know Jon Stewart knows better. It's Cory Booker lying to get votes and get money. Disappointing. If you're a white person and you're advocating for black people, you're going to pay a penalty for that. There's going to be repercussions to your career. There's repercussions for my career for doing it. There's repercussions for a politician's career. But if we're going to sit here and talk like we don't know a thing is a thing, we're doing Cory Booker. We're Cory Bookering it. We're not addressing the issue. We're dancing around the issue, which is a waste of your time, my time, everybody's time. You might as well go watch Snowfall. You know, because they got a good episode on Snowfall, recent episodes, really great. I'm surprised. It involves a tiger. Unbelievable. I can't believe they put a tiger in this episode. The system's unjust, but it's built on purpose this way. It's not accidentally this way. And also, when Cory Booker's talking about all the economic implications of people being locked up for weed and what that does to our economy, we could just focus on that instead of focusing on the color of the people that are being punished. Here's the part that Cory's leaving out. Yes, people who are incarcerated or people that have the rap sheet can't make as much money, which will go into the system. They go down to the store and buy a TV, or they be able to rent a home or buy a car, and that money's gone from our GDP or whatever. That's true. Here's the other thing. The people that maintain our prison systems, people that maintain probations, people that charge for phone calls to the prison, that's part of our economy too. There's a lot of money being made off incarceration and all the facility, everything that's around it. So if you go back in the system, they make money off that too. And that money goes back into our economy. Has anyone done the math on what the money is that is being missed from black people going in the system who aren't able to be out to contribute to the families in their neighborhoods and their communities? And the money that's being made off them being in the system and there being a system? Because this is what I know, Johnson. There are a lot of people that start companies and organizations just to make money off all the write-offs. There's a lot of money to be made once you know all the tax loopholes. The organizations, the 501, whatever. That. So there's a lot of money made off of incarcerated people beyond just the jail. So it's a false narrative just to focus on the poor people that don't have jobs because they can't get jobs and how that's hurting the economy. So that'll be the incentive for people to say, hey, you know what, you're right. We're missing all this tax revenue from these people that should be working and you're locking them up for marijuana. I don't think that's going to be a motivating factor. This reminds me of a conversation I had with Ben Jealous. He told me something very similar. And at the time, I was kind of thrown because it was a good point. He said, Tim, America's not just a country that locks up more black people than any other country. It also locks up more white people than any other country. And I was like, word? But the problem is, white people don't know it and they don't care because when they think about locked up people, they think about black people. And that goes right back to race all over again. You can't outrun it. You don't run fast enough. You got to address it in the circle. Jon Stewart's willing to do that. Cory Booker's not willing to do that. That's why he's telling Jon Stewart, let's play word police.
So I have problems with language like they because
it's too generalized. It's reductive.
To sweep everybody
I get that.
I try to tell my staff, don't write me a speech where I say the Republicans.
Right.
Because that's whipping up 60 million Americans, 70 million Americans.
Because they could donate to his campaign. Then